Looking at the current questions about who's going to be the next speaker, you sort of traced it back further than I had thought to Eric Cantor's loss last summer. Can you talk about sort of that dynamic?
I think what happened, and the reason I do that is, initially people thought Cantor's defeat was a one-time event. But in fact, a number of key radio personalities had taken on Cantor. And so there was a fight between Cantor's ability to raise money out of the K Street lobbyists and the conservative movement's ability to organize the grassroots, and the grassroots won. And at first I thought that was interesting, but it didn't occur to me there was a systems problem. Then you saw the Freedom Caucus emerging and willing to take Boehner on head on, and Boehner no longer had Cantor as the enforcement guy. He now had a brand new majority leader in Kevin McCarthy, and they were still trying to figure out how to get it to work right. And all of a sudden, Boehner steps down. And then you see McCarthy not able to get a majority, a 218 majority of the whole House. So he says he's not going to run because he can't get the votes. Well, if you have three major players in a row who can't get there, you're seeing a systems problem. This is not a personality problem because, first of all, they're very different personalities. I mean, Boehner, Cantor, and McCarthy are really different people. So I began to realize that the systems problem related to the rise of Trump and Carson and Fiorina and Cruz, in that you have a Republican Party now which in polling numbers, 62 or 65% of the Republicans are against their leadership in Washington. They want more militant, more aggressive, more active.
And you said that you consider Ted Cruz among those sort of outsider.
Yeah, Cruz is an outsider. I mean, Cruz is not in the Senate. He's clearly somebody who's a permanent insurgent.
In the Senate, but not of the Senate.
That's exactly right.
And then you also mentioned that one of the differences between Trump and Carson, they're both channeling that same kind of dynamic within the voters, but Trump appeals to one sort of personality or appeals through his temperament, and Carson being a different kind of temperament.
Yeah, I think, at least for me, Trump is much easier to understand than Carson because Trump is noisy. He understands social media. He understands The Apprentice. I mean, he's had a successful TV show. So Trump's style is to be so exciting, so dynamic that he draws people to him. Carson's style is to be so calm and so persistent and so patient and so competent that he draws people to. Now these are really, I mean, you couldn't imagine much bigger style differences. And yet they are currently the top two Republican candidates if you look at the polling numbers. Now whether they will still be there in January, February, I don't know, because they're both going to take a lot of incoming rounds and people are going to attack their positions, and we'll see. But I would say that they have so far been much more successful than I would have guessed back in, say, April.
And in fact, you had said that in January you wouldn't have come close to.
I don't know of anybody, I mean literally anybody, who would have said to you in January, Carson and Trump are going to be the two leading Republican candidates, and you would have been laughed out of the room. Which makes me say, okay, if you didn't know in January, why should I think you know in October or November? And the truth is we don't. We are in an unknown, unmapped world.